So finally, I get to review some Middle Eastern fragrances for you guys. I know you've been asking me. Messages and comments have been coming in requesting reviews of Middle Eastern fragrances. So I got the chance to do a video on five Middle Eastern fragrances currently sold at Fragrance Spy. I jumped at it because I thought I'd, start things off with the Middle Eastern fragrances here with these 5 fragrances. And I should review Middle Eastern fragrances, right? In the end, I am Middle Eastern. I was born in Lebanon. So I got to do it. So I'm talking about 5 fragrances for you today. First of which is it Paris Corner Pandora Scents Milano Prive. We have one from Lattafa called TERIAQ. This one right here, look at that. Look at that one with the snake on top. We have Stronger With You Tobacco from the house of Armani. We have Hirfa by Ahmed. And then finally, Swiss Arabian's SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ, this one right here. So the fragrances are currently sold at Fragrance Spy. I have them linked in the info box. I'm going to tell you all about them, rank them, coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about Middle Eastern fragrances. Yes, this is a great way for me to start speaking about Middle Eastern houses, although I've spoken quite a bit about this Verde from the house of Ajmal. It's one of my favorite inexpensive budget fragrances. If you haven't caught my videos on that, do a search for that. But I have kind of shied away from doing Middle Eastern fragrance videos because it can be overwhelming. And recently I was in Dubai and I got a chance to experience a lot of fragrances, especially from the house of Ajmal and a few other houses. And I've been wanting to do this video, so here it is finally. One for you here with fragrances currently sold at Fragrance Spy, and more to come in the future. If you have a favorite Middle Eastern fragrance, do let me know what it is. Put a comment down below. And the way I'm going to do this video is start the video with my favorite first, least favorite at the end. A lot of these fragrances are inexpensive, and I'm shocked at how good some of these inexpensive fragrances are. And also, I'm kind of a little bummed at some of them being a bit not very well. And you'll find out all about them. Again, these were all sent to me by Fragrance Spy. It's a great way for me to, talk about them. But one of the fragrances I already had purchased, so I decided to just use mine. I have been a fan of the Swiss Arabian fragrances. I've spoken quite a bit about SHAGHAF Oud by Swiss Arabian. If you search my channel, you'll see them. I've given this SHAGHAF Oud as gifts to so many family. And then I started buying this and also this one, Oud Ahmar. These two were not, well, this one was sent to me, but this is mine right here. So I really like the Oud AZRAQ, but I don't care for this one. Again, this one was one that I bought. But I'm surprised at how good SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ is. Remember, this one, I have 2 now, and one was sent to me. But the price is so inexpensive on this as well. So this is Swiss Arabian's SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ. So I guess it's a flanker to the original here, which is just SHAGHAF Oud. That is a great Oudi Gourmand. But this Oud AZRAQ currently sells 100 ml for $35 on Fragrance Spy, which is linked in the info box. And I'm shocked how good it is because this is worth a lot more than $35. So this has notes of honey, oud, cinnamon, amber, Madagascar, vanilla, leather, and patchouli. In the end, it's a honeyed oud, sort of in the style of Montal's honey oud with the A, and also sort of in the style of Floris's honey oud. I really enjoy both of them, but between those two, I prefer Floris's because it's sweeter, whereas Montal's is more oudier. This, to me, is a cross between both of those. So it's not overly sweet and honeyed, but it is more than the honey oud from Montal. So it reminds me of both of them. I can't believe how good this is. It's an overdose of honey, overdose of oud, nicely balanced. You have enough of both. It's not more oud or more honey there, just a perfect balance. And then, you've got the cinnamon, it's got that kind of holiday spice vibe, amber, vanilla. Eventually it settles to the oud, the leather, and patchouli here. But such a fantastic fragrance this one is. So that's why I'm talking about this at the first spot here, because I prefer this one out of all of them. I can't believe how good it is for $35, even though we're headed to summer because this is pretty potent stuff. When you get this one, save it for autumn and, winter seasons because this is going to be perfect. It does have a little bit of that holiday spice vibe happening, sweet, honeyed, amber, vanilla kind of a thing. Lots of wood and oud and patchouli and leather, but really a great offering from this house. I already knew about this one, and thankfully it was sent to me. But again, when you have this one too, I don't care for this Ahmar, Oud Ahmar. It smells very mass market designer, but the SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ, fantastic. Again, to me, I have a comparison on the channel of Montal's Honey Oud and Floris's Honey Oud. I've always mentioned Montal's Honey Oud is very oudy compared to the honey, whereas the honey oud from Floris has a lot of honey. This, to me, like I said, is a cross between both of those, and it's fantastic. The only thing that's missing in here that's present in the Montal Honey Oud is the rose, but wow, really great. For $35, that is amazing. But let's move on to the next fragrance. The next fragrance is number 2. This is my second favorite. It is Lattafa's TERIAQ. Unbelievable how quality this is. Once again, another 100 ml for $33 currently over at Fragrance Buy. Oh my God, you can buy all these fragrances and not pay, over $200, $250, all 5 of the fragrances. But by the time we get to the end, I'm not going to enjoy the fragrances as much. But here with Lattafa's the TERIAQ, it is amazing. So good. This is created by Quentin Bisch, apparently. He's doing Lattafa? Unbelievable. This is unisex, and the previous fragrance I spoke about is also unisex. This features notes of pink pepper, caramel, bitter almonds, apricots, honey, white flowers, rhubarb, rose, vanilla, leather, labdanum, musk, and vetiver. To me, it doesn't have the density and thickness, intensity that the previous fragrance does. The previous one, SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ, is really intense. Here, there's something airy about it, so it doesn't have that really thick, heavy denseness that some fragrances can have, but it wears so good. For me also, there's something familiar about this, like I've smelled it somewhere and I'm trying to figure out where. I don't know where. I'm curious to find out, but wow, unbelievably good. And I'm a little surprised that Quentin Bisch does fragrances for Lattafa. And, we already know he's a great perfumer. He did such a great job here with this one because it smells great. To me also, the previous fragrance, SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ, leans masculine. Here with Lattafa's TERIAQ, it does lean feminine. So just the way I experience fragrances. But let's go ahead and smell this one. The cool thing about this one is the fact that it has that kind of airy quality about it, but there's also something kind of almost like green running throughout it. More like something succulent, and I'm assuming it's coming from the rhubarb, giving me a light vegetal vibe or something, succulent, like the texture of the rhubarb vegetable or fruit, I should say, in here. But a wonderful spicy vanilla with caramel, lightly nuttiness, fruitiness, honey touches, and flowers in the background. It is super delicious. This one to me is more of a spring or cooler, not necessarily extremely hot weather. I mean, you can get away with the heat with this one because it does have airiness, but again, it's depending on how much you can tolerate it in the heat because, again, we're headed towards summer, but these fragrances are going to be perfect when it's cooler outside. And for me, Lattafa's TERIAQ is perfect on a cool, but not like extremely cold autumn day because it's just got that kind of energy going for it. But unbelievably good. This is so good. Unbelievable also at the price point, 100 ml for $33. Amazing. So I should say the first 3 fragrances to me are the best out of here. Number 4 is good, but not wow fragrance. And then finally, when we get to 5, I didn't care for it. And you'll find out what it is. But the third one I'm talking about today is the most expensive in the collection here. 100 ml for $120 currently over at Fragrance Buy. It's Armani's Stronger With You Tobacco. So I recently featured this in a men's fragrances video, but I believe it's a unisex offering. Although Armani Stronger With You collection has a male version and a female version. This could still be targeted to men. I didn't look that up, but I feel like the way the fragrance wears is very unisex to me. So Tobacco Absolute, Spices, which features black and pink pepper, cardamom, and cinnamon leaf, bourbon vanilla, chestnuts, chili, guaiac wood, amber, benzoin, sage, and elemi. So in the end, I said the tobacco for me doesn't really come strong. It's not pronounced. It's hidden. And with this one, the fact that it has a lot of chestnuts, I wanted something smoky in it. Maybe to give me a little bit of a hint of By the Fireplace from the house of Maison Margiela, which is also a chestnut-focused fragrance. But we don't have that smokiness. Maybe we have some leafy tobacco in here. Not really smoky at all. I mean, I'm not experiencing tobacco like the tobacco I like to experience in fragrances like Tobacco Vanille, where you get that kind of ashy dirtiness of the tobacco against the vanilla. Here, it's actually very pure, very clean, and mostly a warm, spicy, nutty, chestnutty fragrance with resins and amber and things like that. For me, I find this to be much better than the original Stronger With You or any of the non-Middle Eastern flankers. But for me, within the Middle Eastern flankers, I prefer leather the most, followed by oud, but I feel like the oud and the tobacco are a bit tied now that I've got a little more experience here with the tobacco. It's a really cozy, comforting fragrance, and once again, it's the kind of fragrance you would wear in the autumn. This is a perfect autumn fragrance, I think. And if you like the idea of tobacco, but you're turned off by the ash, the smoke, things like that, and you like the idea of ambery warmth, chestnutty, kind of holiday type styles, this Stronger With You tobacco should satisfy you. Just don't go looking for the tobacco. At least I don't get it. You might, but noses are different. We experience things differently. I'm not getting much of a tobacco, especially the kind of tobacco that can come off like ashy, smoky, things like that. But now that I'm got it sprayed here, very, very cozy. It's basically amber, warmth, resins, spices, vanillic touches. Maybe a little bit of that chili comes in. It's in there, but for me, it's mostly highlighting the chestnut and the ambery touches and the resins. And everything else is kind of in the background, not really jumping out. Even the cardamom, it doesn't really overwhelm. It's kind of hidden behind the chestnuts and the amber, the vanilla, and the resins that are in here, like benzoin and elemi. I think it's a very cozy fragrance, but I have ranked it here at number 3. It's the most expensive in the collection, and I prefer those other two that are priced at around $32. Much more. Go figure. Okay, so here's where things go a little south, unfortunately. The next fragrance I'm talking about is Ahmed Hirfa, this one right here. So this one, to me, I do like much more than the last fragrance. And by now, you know what the last fragrance is. It's Milano Prive, and I'll tell you why I don't like that one. So this one, to me, hinted a little bit of something like Mont Blanc's Individuel. Not as in the smell, maybe a little bit, but more in the style. So I don't know much about this brand, and I also don't know much about the next brand. The first two I know, the first three I know a lot about. So these were kind of new for me, untried fragrances. So I'm giving you my honest opinion on how these wear. And like I said, Ahmed's Hirfa I enjoyed more than the last one, the Milano Prive Pandora scents. So this is notes of sweet lime, green apple, lavender, healing woods, pine, geranium, magnolia, amber, oud, sandalwood, patchouli, and musk. Again, it wears like I'm wearing something like Mont Blanc's Individuel, but it pretty much stops there. For me, this is the kind of fragrance I would wear every day if I only had one fragrance. It's pleasant, it smells great, it's kind of a crowd pleaser. Mixed in with your own chemistry, your own musk will create this really pleasant aroma coming off of you. And with your body moving a little bit, it'll project. It's not a very loud fragrance, unlike the SHAGHAF Oud, SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ. This is, a bit subdued, but I'm not saying it's a wimp. And again, it's a pleasant wear. This is not my kind of a fragrance. I don't, gravitate towards these kind of fragrances. I much prefer SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ. I much prefer this TERIAQ from Lattafa. Even the stronger with you tobacco, I prefer. I like its intensity. This Ahmed Hirfa is, I don't want to say something negative, but it's for people that are not so into fragrances, I guess. They like the idea of smelling pleasant. They like the idea of these kind of notes. It's aromatic, it's fruity, it's citrusy, it's woody, but it's basically that. It doesn't really do a lot more. So it's a bit boring for me, unfortunately, but I much prefer it over the last fragrance. I keep saying that. Either way, this is Ahmed Hirfa. Let me know if you're familiar with that fragrance. All right, last but not least, we're talking about Paris Corner Pandora Scents Milano Prive, which is a male-targeted release. The previous fragrances, Ahmed Hirfa, is unisex, and I didn't mention the price. It's $43, approximately $44. So it's a bit on the pricier side compared to the others. And again, I felt like it was not necessarily the best, but not the worst either. So unfortunately, Paris Corner Pandora Scents Milano Prive to me smells, do I use the word? It smells not very well made. It's also very thin and not very inviting. So it's 100 ml, $27. So it's not very expensive. And perhaps you have experience with this one. What do you get if you do? But this is not the kind of fragrance I would buy. And if I bought this blind, I would be disappointed at it. It doesn't stand out like the SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ. So substantial, so intense, so good. Even the TERIAQ by Lattafa, so good. This one seems like an older fragrance that was launched maybe 30, 35, 40 years ago that has been reformulated to death. And when you get it, it has gotten watered down. Nothing really jumps out at me here, unfortunately. It's really, really disappointing. And I hear a lot of people mention this Paris Corner brand. But in the end, it's got cinnamon, red mandarin, myrrh, tobacco, tonka beans, patchouli. It's a warm, spicy, ambery fragrance. It's resinous, it's woody, boozy. Yeah, it does have boozy, citrusy touches, but it's flat. It's really, really flat for me, unfortunately. Again, this is my opinion. You might experience this fragrance differently, but when I'm comparing it next to these fragrances, this is a wimp, unfortunately. Maybe my batch is bad, I don't know. But at number 5, it's Paris Corner Pandora Scents Milano Prive. Again, I'm not trying to diss a cheap fragrance. I mean, I've already mentioned how I'm enjoying so much SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ and TERIAQ from Lattafa, but the way that wears on me is just not very pleasant. I just wanted something more beefier, more robust, and I don't get that. Anyway, those are my thoughts on these 5 fragrances. It's a pretty good start. There's some good ones here. There's some not so good ones here. I'm going to continue doing more videos in the future of Middle Eastern fragrances. Now that I have some experience here, you know, I started on the old channel with reviewing Middle Eastern fragrances. So if you guys didn't know that, if you've been following me from the previous channel, you'll probably remember I used to speak a lot about Middle Eastern fragrances, but maybe we'll start seeing more of those. But let me know your thoughts on these 5 fragrances. Are you familiar with them? Have you tried them? Are you interested in trying these 2 now? These 2 are good. They're so good. So good. SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ, so good. And again, Oud Ahmar, I didn't really care for. This is something I bought. I bought both of these, but then again, as I said, this one was sent to me for this review. Even the Armani Stronger With You tobacco, I enjoy it, but no tobacco with that one. The other 2, unfortunately, again, not my favorites. But do let me know if you're a fan of these fragrances, and let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you've purchased fragrances from Fragrance Buy. Again, I have them linked, all going to Fragrance Buy. They have great deals right now happening for these fragrances, so take advantage of them right now. And let me know some other Middle Eastern fragrances you'd like to see reviewed here on the channel. Put a comment down below so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.